pasuk has a lot of meaning in and of itself. There's a medrash, Yaakov, the medrash puts it into an entirely different dimension. The pasuk is called Nachalim Alchema Al Hayam. All the rivers flow into the sea. Vayam enenu malei. The sea is never full. Amakom shenachalim alchim. To the place where the rivers flow. Sham hem shavim laleches. They go back again. Even Ezra says it's a cycle. The water from the sea, from the yam, evaporates into the clouds. Clouds form and come over to the land. The land goes over the mountains, whatever. Geshem falls, rain falls, until what's one in Nachalim, then it goes back and forth. That's the possible perhaps. The Yaakov says like this: Kol HaTorah Kula Eino Nivneses Ela Lalev. The whole Torah goes into a person's heart. Valev Eneno Malei. And the heart is never full. Amakom Bezeh. It says, Afalev Eneno Ismalei. Also the heart never gets full. If that person gives his Torah, his wisdom from his heart, Shuv Eine Choser, it doesn't come back to him. Tamalomar Sham Hem Shovim, it comes back to him. Var Acher Kol Nachanim Kol Chachma, Eno Nechneses Ela Lalev, Yam Enenu Malei, Af Halev Eno Mismalei. All the wisdom, not just Torah, all wisdom goes to the person's heart. The heart is never full. Tomar, you should notice it. Tamudo, Va'acher, once you teach someone else, Shuv Eino Chozer, Allah doesn't return to him. Tamulomar, Kamakom Shenacham. It does go back, it's a cycle. What's the Medrash telling us? Medrash is saying that a person's Torah that he learns, a person's wisdom that he knows, goes into his heart. The lave isn't just a seat of emotions. The lave is that which I think it's used by Chazal as the integration of the wisdom and knowledge a person has with himself, his inner self. His inner self is his life, right? It's both intellectual and emotional. It's a much deeper thing than just emotional. The wisdom that we learn, the Torah that we learn goes into our heart. And when we teach it to someone else, we don't lose it. We learn a lot from our rebellion, a lot from our, maybe more from our chaverim, but the most from our talmid. You teach it, you understand it, it becomes a part of you. We're here this evening to say a few words about the loss of the soldier of Klal Yisrael. We're here to say a few words to Hazkara ourselves. The loss of one of our chaverim, one of our Rabbi, Rabbi Friedman. Yaakov had a very special heart. There are many people who learn Torah and know Torah, and many people who amass knowledge and love this. But how many integrate it into the heart to the extent that you have to use it to help others? Those, the Me'aliyah, are few. Yaakov, his father's wife. Whatever he learned, he passed on to his Talmud. He had a way of talking to Talmud. He understood where they were coming from. He understood their language. What other people couldn't express, he was able to communicate. He loved his Talmud. And he kept in touch with many, many Talmud. He told me just recently, before he passed away, that his best years was when he taught and learned by fellows. He had a way, even when he had to tell the Talmud something that he's fooling himself. He's not being honest with himself. He's trying to escape his problem by a pretense of hashkafa. He had a way of getting that across as well, in such a way that the Talmudim would accept it. He didn't let them get away with anything. He explained to them how they were fooling themselves. That was a very, very special and very, very wonderful house. We'll miss him as a friend. We'll miss him as a fighter for the truth. I hope that we've made this Yosher a very, very special family. Our yeshiva from ZT'L, Telstone, I'm going through a very, very difficult time. It's getting more and more difficult to relate to Talmidim. I started talking to somebody today about the Masav. She'll agree with me. It's not what it was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And we need all the Sabbath that we can have. Please be at the Yosher. And we can still find the language to speak to our Talmidim, to try to get them into Torah and Musa and the values. I want to ask something. Say a few words.
Just a few memories and feelings, thoughts. Obviously, my perspective was not that of a Talmud. The years that my father taught here was the years that I was a child. So my perspective was a child's perspective of what was. It was a perspective that it was a reality that I grew up in teaching here. And later on, when I went to the different yeshivas and times after I got married, were like Yomim Noraim and certain things where I had to daven in other places, I appreciated the fact that I actually grew up in a place where there was a framework of a yeshiva. Yomim Noraim was done in yeshiva. I grew up doing Yomim Noraim in yeshiva. And like I went afterwards in like other places. It's a totally different experience. So it was a phenomenal schus for us to have that ability growing up under such circumstances, which also and my childhood memories gave me the ability of growing up in a house where Talmidim would come home, and I got to hear and see my father. He had a special love for Machshava, Maharal, or Mechtam Elio, whatever it was, and he would say it with such passion. When you speak over at the Shabbos tables, Yom Tovim, We had Malav Makas in the house. He brought other speakers in. We had such a schus as children. At least this is my feelings and memories that to experience growing up is that when I would sit at the Shabbos table, that opportunity that he had, because he'd invite Talmidim to see not only that he would say over Divrei Torah and Machshava, but the passion that I as a kid felt that he had just is a phenomenal memory by me. And it, to a certain degree, gave me a cheshek later on when I came to start Yeshiva Gdola, and this extra time on the side, what am I going to use it for? And it drove me to start learning, Spartan that I've heard my father speak out and quote, and just the memory of the enjoyment he had when he would say over a nice machshava from the Maharal, nice machshava from Michtam Eliyahu. And in 7th grade, I started learning my father after school. I don't remember much. It was Gemara mainly, but there was one thing that I really do, and there are a couple of things that I remember. Obviously, not the exact learning, but number one was when either me or him had a good question or a good answer for something, he'd get very excited and he'd go over to Friedman, ZT'L would sit there sometimes, and I remember a time that he got so excited that I asked a question. He took me over to Friedman, ZT'L, and he's had me say over the question, and then Friedman said, oh yeah, sure, Tosis asks that, but the simcha, that he had such a simcha from the experience of learning that I witnessed as a child by me stayed, and is very much probably the foundations of what I am and who I became, hopefully will become more today. Also, I started asking him all these questions of why are we here in the world? What's this religion all about? Not in a way of but just to understand. And instead of just giving me a little answer here, a little answer there, he said, you know what? I'm going to do with your kvias. And every day we learned Der Hashem together, and it was a beautiful thing that that he knew this. It was a beautiful sefer, and I felt like it gave me so much that Chavrusa Shaft, not only that he learned with me what we learned at school, but also it's a memory by me that I'll never forget, learning with him Der Hashem. And then afterwards, when I was in Yeshiva Gdola, I went and I took that sefer with Kirshan, and I did about 2 or 3 times, because it was something that I felt I got from him, a connection that something that and also he was a person who, on one hand, was a phenomenally intelligent, multi-talented person. His ability of machshava, his havana, but I think that what most gave him power and gave him the ability to do what he did, whether it was with us, or what I saw and witnessed as a child, or for his Talmidim, was not necessarily his ability of understanding things, of saying over a good a good machshava, but that when he said something, it didn't come only from the mind. His heart, it came mainly from his heart, and he'd say something over, and also when he'd speak to Talmidim and stuff, and his power, I think, was the fact that he cared, the fact that it was close to his heart, the fact that when he would, whether it was Torah, whether it was machshava, whether it was dealing with Talmidim, it was not necessarily the fact that he knew what to say or what to think or the right thing, is the fact that he cared, that he put his heart into it. And every time I think about this, it brings me a famous story that I read about the Chofetz Chaim. In his times, there was a whole zera in Russia. They wanted to start teaching limudei chol in the systems over there, and Chofetz Chaim felt that it was pikuach nefesh, Yehared Val Yavar. And he went into whoever it was over there to try to change things, and he came in with an interpreter. And first the Chofetz Chaim got up and started speaking Yiddish, cried his heart out, speaking to him about how Torah should be untouched and how important Torah is. And when the interpreter came to translate what he said, the whoever was the guy there from the government that was in charge and had the power to change things says there's no need to. he spoke the language of the heart. That's a language that everyone relates to, everyone understands. And I very much feel that that was something that was definitely a power tool in his hand to accomplish what he accomplished through his life. ויהי רצון שנזכה בביאת המשיח במהרה ובילה ומובס הנצח ומלך השם דימו מעל כל פנים. אמן.
I'm going to ask now, Steve Petrover, to say a few words if the Rosh Hashanah. What's his name?
I'd like to thank the Mashgiach for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I'm speaking in a day. Maybe the second time. The first time I spoke by the seal. What they call it, the Grand Seal. The Grand Seal. This is my second time speaking in a day. Parshas Bereshis has in it only one mitzvah. The Rishonim Moinei HaMitzvahs, who enumerate the mitzvahs of the Torah. In Parshas Bereshis, there's one mitzvah that they count, which is provable. So, obviously, if it's going to be the mitzvah in Parshas Bereshis, it has to be a Gavaldik mitzvah Yisoid of the whole Torah. And Pruvu, although it's hard to understand why Pruvu is such a fundamental mitzvah. Although Chazal do tell us that it's a mitzvah rabbah. But to populate the world, populating the world is good. It's not one of the Sheva mitzvahs B'nai Noach though. So it's not just populating the world with people. That's already the beginning of the parents. To have more Yidden dafka. But what's so fundamental about this mitzvah? So the Shalach Kodesh says, it brings Chazal, Iker Toldo Seyan Shel Tzadikim Maisim Toivim. So the simple understanding of that means that the Iker Toldo Seyan of the Maimon Chazal, Iker Toldo Seyan Shel Tzadikim Maisim Toivim is just the mitzvahs that they're Makayim. The mitzvahs that they're Makayim. But the Shalach, he has a very interesting uptouch over here. There's a Gemara in Yevomis. It says somebody's not Isik and Hu. Somebody that's not Isik and Hu is Mamayit Es HaDemus. Is Mamayit the Demus. What's the Demus? Tzelem Elikim. Yeah, Nasa Adam B'Talmenu the Demuseinu. In our Demus. In the Kaviyachol, the Bereshon's Demus, the likeness. That Bereshon created Adam like him in a certain way. It's Mamayit the Demus. That's what it says in the Gaon Yevomis. So the Shalach is Masber. The Bereshon created the world that people should be makir him. People should be makir him. People should be able to be oived him, to be moist of kedusha in the world. And so he created a being that's able to understand the Bereshon, to be makir to a certain degree, to whatever degree he can understand it. To great heights, even to understand the Bereshon and to be moist of kedusha in the world, al yedei this that he's doimer, that he could resemble the Rebbeinu Shalom in the Rebbeinu Shalom's midos. And when a person acts, like Chazal say that he should be called, if the Rebbeinu Shalom is Kaddish, we should be Kaddish. The Rebbeinu Shalom is Rachel, we should be Rachel. We should act with Rachmanis. But it says in the others form that when somebody acts with these midos, he brings this midah down into this world. A person acts with kedusha, with the right intentions. He acts with kedusha. He's bringing the Rebbeinu Shalom's kedusha into the world, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is nimtza in the world. The Rebbeinu Shalom's midah rachmanis is nimtza in the world. When a yid acts with rachmanis, there's more of the Rebbeinu Shalom in the world. That's nigla, that is. There's more rachmanis in the world. There's more kedusha in the world, etc. The Rebbeinu Shalom made Adam. Adam is called Adam and Adama. But somebody that takes Adama, somebody that takes a bacher that's like dirt, and he makes him to Adam Elyon, and he can understand Ruchnius. Somebody that takes Adama, this is what Rav Yaakov did. He took Adama and he made him into Adama Elyon. This is what Rav Yaakov was doing. This is what he was doing. This is the mitzvah of Pruvu is to create beings that verstehen the Rebbeinu Shalom to the degree that they can, and that try to emulate the Rebbeinu Shalom to the degree that they can. This is what he taught us. This is what Rav Yaakov was. Like Rav Yehuda said, the Ikar Limud that I was Makabel from him was Derech Hashem. The first two halakim of Derech Hashem. We learned out on the outside in the afternoon, under the trees over here. And this is what Rav Yaakov was. This is the Ikar told the Sen Shel Tzadikim is Ma'asim Tovim. That's a real Tolda. Tolda is a Tolda, and that's the cheshivus of the mitzvah Pruvu. This is what the Shema says. Is to bring into the world beings that can verstehen the Rebbeinu Shalom, to be market the Rebbeinu Shalom, and to be over the Rebbeinu Shalom. And this is what Rav Yaakov was doing. Is to be marble the Kvod Shemayim in the world in this way by creating beings that like we said took Adama and he made Adama Le'elyon. What is this? This is Machaya Mason B'Mamori. That's what he was doing. Machaya Mason B'Mamori. This is one Nakuda that we wanted to say about Rav Yaakov. One more Nakuda about the chashivus of his function here in the Bay. Gemara Pesachim says that there's two ways to attach the word Rishon. Rishon could be like right in the beginning of something. The beginning of something. Rishon could be something that precedes it. Ach b'yom harishon tishkusu b'botechem is Yudal Lisa. That's not the beginning of Pesach. That's not the first day of Pesach. Rishon means before Pesach. B'yom harishon mikveh kodesh, that's first day of Pesach. That's the first. B'yom harishon mikveh kodesh, that means there's Vav Nisa, but Ach b'yom harishon tishkusu b'botechem, that's Yudal Lisa. There's two types of Rishon. So for me personally, in the way there was I had Rabbi, I had Friedman and the Friedman, those was Magidei Shir, we had the Mashgiach and Sleipen, and all the other Rebbeim that we have, and people that are Messiah, Yosef, and others. I forget anyone children, I'll go upon him, but those are my first Rebbeim, let's say. But there's a type of bacher that he's not ready to have a Rebbe b'chlal. So he needs a Rebbe Rishon like the other Rishon, a Rishon of before. And this, although say maybe in the way he wasn't the Maggid Shir with the Seder, with the Chabruses, with saying a Shir in the morning, he had in my Tkufa, he was saying a Shir at 4:30, maybe 5 in the afternoon, which is actually perfect time for a bacher that is basic in his Gashmius, Achide, Shtia, and Bechule, and Shena, and more the above. And so by that time, the emphasis is that the Iker Maggid Shir in the Vey is somebody who says Shir at 4:30 in the afternoon. This is the prime time, we call it. This is prime time. And they called it Kabbalah. Kabbalah, I gave a Shir in Kabbalah. That was what the Shir was called, Kabbalah, which was, like we said, the beginning of the Sefer Daf Hashem. And you can call it Kabbalah. We had a name that was very attractive, and the emphasis that these say is that a person is going to the Bereshit. Ruchnis is a reality. Ruch is not just rules. Ruchnis is an emphasis. And Ruchnis is a reality. A person affects the world. The person could affect the whole world. How the Bereshit acts with us is how we act with the Bereshit, and that a person is responsible for his actions. And these are our ways to say this. And this is what Yaakov was able to give over to people that weren't really ready to hear anything. Not even this, but it's a chiddush, and it was interesting. And so we could say really that from the Rebbeim, we have Rebbeim over here. There's Rebbeim that have began the Rishon of B'yem HaRishon Mikra Kodesh. Yaakov, I think for me and for many others, was like a Rishon of Ach B'yem HaRishon Tashmisu Somi Botechem, a Rishon, a Rebbe, a Rishon that was before somebody can have a Rebbe, he could still be a Rebbe, which is a godless, really, that a person could be a Rebbe if somebody that's to having a Rebbe, and not holding by having his, but Emma's not holding by having a Rebbe, not able to have a Rebbe, and he can still be a Rebbe, and that was of Yaakov's godless, and we're forever Chaim, of course, to Yaakov and to the Talmud Shpacha for this, and I think for many people, this is what Yaakov's koyach was, and those are his Iker Toldis. So the Seishal Tzadikim is the Ma'asim Tovim. That means all the Ma'asim Tovim that they're able to bring people to. And Yaakov should be a Meilas Yosef for Mishpacha and Yeshiva and all kinds. So Bila Hashem Amos.
I don't know. The next speaker is someone that I tell over something about him every in the day, and I used to tell the first part of it. It has to do with a nickname, but I'll tell tell you the second part of it is that many years later, I was on a bus with him, right? And I asked him something in learning. He started talking in learning, and I didn't understand a word, right? And that's the dream of every Rebbe to have. I found that you grow to be, way above and beyond what you do, right? Yes.
The match might be daring me to the gala what the nickname was. I'm very tempted to say it. Sorry, I wasn't going to say it before, but I'll teach us in a few places. Kol hadrochim b'cheskas sakon. That basically traveling is dangerous. The obvious prescription is to take schools of there. Which Hazal prescribed an additional measure. Chayim bodom la'anhir orcha be'araisa. A person has to learn, like we say, kriyishma lefcha b'derech. Somehow, by learning, the person protects himself against the dangers of working on the derech. Now, what derech are we talking about? Today, the plan for the Shmita will tell you that you get in a car here on a whole bluff, he intends to drive up to a kenes. In the way, he says there's no problem at all saying tefillah zedera. You can say tefillah zedera just getting in your car and driving nechmes, daladams. You can already say tefillah zedera. Maral, in the Silas Olam, beginning in the Silas Torah, says not like that. I mean, not that he's arguing. In reality, they didn't have cars back then. It wasn't as dangerous. He said it's talking about intercity travel, going from place to place. When you go from place to place, you're traversing an area which is in its pristine state. It's uninhabited. It's been that way basically since Sheshes Bay Brady's ever been to these large countries like the Ukraine or Nebraska. This wide open space has never been dominated by human intervention. It is the way it is. An uninhabited area is still similar to Taya Bagoyu, the Maral says. Taya Bagoyu is not survivable. It needs to have the imprint of civilization. Human nature has to be there, has to be a presence of what they call Seder. And if you're not in a place of Seder, then you're in danger. Now, Hazl provide himself with Seder. So the Goyim are very ideas of what Seder is. And the Torah doesn't really endorse Goyish Seder. In Yeshiva, in the Jewish world, there's a thing called first Seder. There's second Seder. There's night Seder. At the birth of the Jewish people, we celebrate at night. Leil Seder. Seder is the Torah. The Torah is the Seder. The Seder of the Olam is with Torah. When a person, therefore, is going through a space in between cities, an uninhabited area, an uncivilized area, which seems very nice, it's bird chirping it. The problem is that this is not a livable place. It's not where human beings belong. You can make it considered to be an inhabited area if you're learning while you're traveling. When I was growing up, Baruch Hashem, I always went to yeshivas, and I never paid attention, but I was going to yeshivas and a kosher place. My parents tried, let's put it that way. They definitely tried to make me a civilized guy who's Crusader, but me and my brothers basically resisted pretty strongly to that concept. We were much more interested in the Torah Royal approach than the Crusader approach, so it took some time. But 31 years ago, I was in this dormitory. This is actually the first time I'm in this dormitory in about 31 years when I came here. And I was not Crusader. I didn't know what civilization meant. I didn't know what it means to not be in total way. I was from Miami Beach. And that place is definitely not Crusader. And for whatever reason, I'm still not exactly sure how this happened. Maybe the Master remembers, I don't know. But Yaakov was there inside of the bracha, would venture into my room sometime after the football game, that's when we woke up. Around 2 o'clock was the football game. So everyone woke up, and after the football game, you're exhausted. Whether you're in the game or watching the game, so that was, it was a draining experience to go back here to recuperate. Before the nighttime activities in town, which often involve the police and other interesting individuals. But in the afternoon, Rabbi Yaakov, ZT'L walk into the room, sometimes with a dripping raincoat, sometimes not, and he'd be holding a sefer in his hand, and it was a Maral. It was the ZT'L. And he would say, "Come, let's learn." So I wasn't that motivated, to tell you the truth. Why should I be motivated now? This is my derech in life. To not be motivated, I'm supposed to be a doctor or whatever. I don't care about this stuff. He had a look in his eye. He was an empathetic person. He was very passionate about everything that he said, everything that he did. And I felt bad saying no. And for about a half an hour a day, I pleased him based on the mission. And I would sit with Rabbi Yaakov, and he would plug away at this sefer with me. Often it was just me, myself. Often I'd be, let's just call it distracted with other inyan or chemicals maybe, and I couldn't really grasp what he was saying all the time. Sometimes I could, but this sefer, the ZT'L, made a humongous impression on me. What I learned in this sefer with him, one of them was a concept I just said before, about Seder. You're not surviving. You might think that Miami Beach is reality, and this addiction, or this interest, or this distraction, or this passion, it's all sheker b'chazah. You're not going to survive like that. It's not real. But Yaakov had a look on his face. He said MS, and he knew it was MS. It made an impact. It's penetrated all the klippos, penetrated all the narishkeit that I was trying so eagerly to collect and hide myself behind, and I couldn't. He convinced me that 31 years ago, he convinced me that you're living a life of sheker, and at that time I wasn't mature enough to accept it. I heard it, and I knew it was true, but so what? I had a humongous Yitzhar, and I still went to town, I still managed to get thrown out of yeshiva. That's right, you can actually get thrown out of this, even 31 years ago I got thrown out of this yeshiva, and my parents didn't find out about it until the Mash came to visit like 6 months later. Why did you tell them? They didn't know. I'm like sitting in my room. Mom, come downstairs. But great. The Mash is coming to be nice. Comes to my house and he tells my parents that he threw me out of yeshiva. Anyway, it was too late to get in trouble. I was already in bigger trouble for everything. I wasn't mature enough to listen to the Mash. I got this nickname, which I'm not going to tell you what it was. It was a pretty nasty nickname. It wasn't my fault. I won poker every night. I beat the guys. I got all their money. So of course they had nasty names to call me. So they called me this name. But it wasn't that I was a bad guy. It was better than the poker. So, but I didn't give my money back. I didn't know about the Sasha to kill you back then. I just took the money and ran, and that's it. I was in Miami for another year or two, and then I came back there to ZT'L, and I was basically just custom making my own curriculum. I got a little bit more mature, somehow miraculously. I don't know how that worked. Syphilis or something. And I started thinking, how am I going to find Seder in my life? How am I going to reconstruct and make a curriculum? And one of the first sparring that I reached for was the Maral. I heard from one of my friends, he's a Maral expert. He said, you have to learn Tiferes ZT'L first. That's the Maral introductory sefer. I didn't listen to him. I already had a familiarity a little bit with the ZT'L. I picked up the sefer and I started learning it. I got help from people. I started learning it, and after a certain amount of time, I got to the end of the sefer. It took me a long time. I had my pencil. I wrote notes. I underlined things. I chazed it. I learned it again and again and again. It's actually right here. This is the sefer that I got, the old print. They still have a new one. So my notes on the side, all my squiggles, all my ridiculous insights. The kids, I learned it again and again and again. And in the course of time, for whatever reason, I ended up accumulating Talmudim in different yeshivas that I had gone to and worked at. And in the course of time, I started sharing the ZT'L with Talmudim of mine. And they got inspired. And the inspiration that I got from Yaakov, the Seder that he provided me with, the reality, the realization that life is not fun and games, that life is not about winning poker, life is more about accomplishing and being minded, being kind, puravu, in a spiritual sense, which is the ikr of puravu, not the physical sense. Even a person, Chazal teaches, Kabbalah teaches, even a person's past the physical level, you can actually have children with these about to kind, puravu, much shapiro. That's how it explains about it. By getting proper shot in the Gemara, actually tells you that's also puravu. You're being partially deepening the significance of the Bria. Every single one of us can do that. He had this look in his eyes when he's demanding that of his Talmudim. All the years that I was here since then, I always came by, I'd see him standing on the street, and Chapash moved with him. I got inspired every time I spoke to him. I had a yearning to go back to his house, and I did very often. Came late to Shalashudas at my sister's house because of it. Where were you? I was with Yaakov Friedman, of course. I went to his house. I couldn't resist. An emistic person, the emis is contagious. It's something which is greatly lacking. I feel, I'm not really overly dramatic, I don't think, but I feel the world is that much less an emistic place now that he's not with us anymore. So it's a big cabal that a person like that who was just committed to MS and was sincere about it and mashpia is taken away from us. It's a big responsibility for any one of us that knew him, that I just call knows him. You have to somehow savor the image of his face in your mind and the way he expressed, what the geschmack he had in saying the Lord, and the geschmack he had in talking with people. They don't make people like that anymore. Nowadays, like the Mach was saying, that I work with Welcome today, and I basically, I'm trying to quit my job. My boss isn't letting me. I can't deal with the kids with the phones. Like, they're not here. They're not in this world. Hello, you're not here. Like, get out of this measures with that thing. It's a get out. I'm not talking about Shmiri saying, I'm telling you, you're not a mensch. Pay attention. You're not living in this. We're living in cyberspace. We're living in the world of Shepherd Mamish. Like, it doesn't even exist what you're looking at. You can take your Shem Hashem on a screen and go to all places. Bring it to a bathroom. Not even a Shem Hashem that's garnished. Mamish. Ask a place. Can you Shem Havaya on a screen? You let bring it to, for sure you're allowed to. It's garnished. The whole thing is garnished. And they're living in that. How are you supposed to relate to these people? Maybe that's one reason to there's where Yaakov he's not relevant anymore. Because it's ridiculous for a person like that to be here. He's not relevant. Chalila. Anyway, I'm ready to spoke a lot longer than I'm supposed to speak. I feel a tremendous debt of Karsatai to Yaakov, and I feel like anytime I say a maral, I see his face in front of me. Every time I speak from meeting, I say marals. It's a passion that he put inside of me, and hopefully will never ever diminish in any way, shape, or form. Usually, for all of us in Klal Yisrael, and Joseph, see Mashiach, the king of the nation.
Yes, one of my said that
Mosh asked me for Yontif, I could say a few words. And I figured from then till now I'd come up with something like that. Here we are. All I kept thinking about in the last week or two, since I've been trying to think about what to say, is that how do you put a person, how do you put a lifetime of a person into a speech with some words? I remember seeing a word in the first bracha of Shemon Esrei. There's several attributes that we're allowed to say about Kadosh Baruch Hu, that Akel Agadol, like Ibar, and then it kind of just stops. It goes off a little bit into Southern. But for the most part, I mean, there's no way, obviously, to be able to define Kadosh Baruch Hu by words. So Chazal mapped out for us, this is what Ad Kan you're allowed to say. This is what you can say. Any less is not enough, and any more, you're starting to create a situation where you didn't say enough. So just say this, and that should cover whatever we need, whatever we're allowed to cover. The trick is, how do we do that with a person? I mean, how do I define a person within the exact amount of words that can sum up our experiences with him? Rabbi Yaakov was, for me, one of the first people I interacted with when I got here, 21 years ago at this point. What took me right away with him was that you didn't feel like you were talking about anything religious, let's just say. A lot of guys come here and they don't. That's the last thing they want to talk about. You know, Rabbi, I'll talk to you about anything, but I don't want to talk about tomorrow. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. You want to talk, we'll talk. I don't. With Rabbi Yaakov, no problem. He could talk to you about anything. I mean, when we're talking about worldly knowledge, he had it from music to literature to culture. I mean, he had it. And I remember years later, I had asked him, you know, how was it that he could just spend all this time sitting and just schmoozing about nothing? You know, just like talking about things like Rabbi. He said maybe for them they were talking about nothing. For me, I knew, you know, there was windows of opportunity within that to, you know, impart some level of hashkafa, some proper direction. I don't know how related it is, but I saw a Vart the other week. I was looking through the parsha on Mezuzah Bracha, and there was a story that took place back during Russia under the Tsar rule, where this was during the time of the Enlightenment period. The Jews were going off and they were searching intellectually for other pursuits. There was a big drive in Russia at the time to implement their core curriculum into the Jewish schools, and it was a big problem at the time. One of the we'll call him the head of the education at the time with the Russian government. He had some advisors who were unfortunately from the Maskilim, the ones that were the Jews that had gone off searching for more intellectual pursuits. And he asked them, he said, you know what, I want to see what it's all about. I want you to teach me something about what are they sitting and studying all day? Like, what is it that they're sitting and doing? So the few advisors, they got together, they said, you know, okay, we got to be very careful there. This could go really wrong. Go completely south if he doesn't catch on. Let's just pick a very pashut sugya. They took a sugya called Tagri Lud. It's for all intents and purposes, and it's just discussing business interactions, dealing. Really doesn't require any sort of like background knowledge. Doesn't require your ideas from shots. Doesn't require any sort of 13 mitos that you darshan the Gemaras with. It's straight. Again, on the surface level, seems like a straightforward sugya. So they prepared it very well, dumbed it down as much as possible, and he sat down with the Tsar and he said, let's go through it. He walked him through all the steps, all the parts, all the components, and this is we're talking about. I mean, the head of the ministry then was not talking about a Pasha guy. This guy was a smart individual, and he was just struggling. He couldn't get it. They went over it a second time, a third time. Every time he's clarifying, he's making charts for him, he's writing it out. Guy throws up his hands at the end. There's a long period of trying to get it. And he's like, I don't get it. You're missing it. Something doesn't make sense. I don't get it. So one of these maskilim had I don't know how it got back to him, but it got back to him in Siddur at the time. And he said it's not even a problem. It's a pasuk of pasuk. It says Torah Tzivah Moshe Morasha Kichilas Yaakov. It's pasuk Yerusha to the Jews. You can't teach this to the Goyim and expect the same results. They're not going to get it. There's a world of a difference between what the Goyim have, what their pursuits are, what their intellectual capabilities are, and what the Torah provides us, because it was given to us and we have access to it. And from my experiences with Rabbi Yaakov over the years, he was so completely knowledgeable, so exposed to everything that was out there, and yet this is where he chose to settle himself. This is where he chose to devote himself. Aside from all the and not that he didn't appreciate it, but he knew that wasn't the ultimate. And that's always what he gave over to us. And you could hold a conversation with him, and he could talk to you about it from today till tomorrow, but that wasn't where his passion was. And he would sit down with us, and ultimately that was where the conversations always ended up going. He would talk about that, and then you'd end up back on somewhere in the Torah world at some point. Because that's just where it went. That was just what he figured it all out, and he knew it. You know, he lived it. Hannah was just talking about the attribute of his emistic in nature. You know, that's the attribute of Yaakov, emistic Yaakov. That's what he was. He embodied it. You know, I could sit for hours with him. I sat for hours with him. You know, I would go for 5 minutes and stay for 2 hours, and he's like, no, you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay. I was putting a gun to my head. I want to be here. Shut off my phone. I don't want to go home. And I'm happy I got to speak second. I could a little bit take from what you said, but that we're missing that, and it's missed. And, I don't know where to go for it. I don't know where to go for that. To sit with someone like that, to get the straight. I can only hope that whatever he did give over to me and to everyone else, the hundreds and hundreds of people he's encountered over the years will find its way back out, will pass forward, because it's such a commodity. It's just a rare find to get that sort of experience, that sort of clarity. And I just wish I had more of it. I was in New York when, unfortunately, Rabbi passed away. I didn't make it back for the Rabbi, and I had told him before I left, I was going to come by the week I get back. I'll come by right when I get back, because you know, we were in the middle of a conversation, and then he also wanted me to bring my guitar, and he was very excited about his new guitar. We were going to have a whole lot of fun with that, but you don't know when it's going to happen. And when my wife called me and I was in New York, the first thing that came to my mind was, you know, do tshuva every day, because you don't know when is that last day. Who would have thought? I mean, I was naive. I was like, it's fine. It's going to be fine. This is just the treatments that are bothering him. He was going to kick back around and do that to himself very soon. But Hashem had other plans. Hashem needed that upstairs. Needed that level of, let's call it angelic truth. Hopefully we got what we needed in the time that we had with Yaakov. Again, he'll be missed every day, and I hope that we can pay it forward.
Huh?
She was Hazkara.
It's I feel unworthy, and it's an honor to say a few words. Lili Nishmas, our dear Rabbi, very special person for Rabbi Yaakov. I'm talking primarily to the Neve boys. I don't know if any are here, but anybody else is welcome to listen as well. I feel like we lost something. We lost Rabbi Yaakov. And really, for the past few years, since he hasn't been well, and for whatever the term, I think the Ma shared with me, the Rabbi Yaakov mentioned that the years that he was in the Bay were the happiest years of his life, and Talmidim, and Rabbi Yaakov every year. I don't know who's old enough. Who might be old, but I don't think anybody here, not not be old enough to remember, every year Rabbi Yaakov gave over his life story. And it was quite a story. And I don't know if he ever told you his life story. So every year he gave over his life story, and it did something for the boys in the Bay, all of us, that no one else could do. Everybody else had their unique thing, but he did something that nobody else could do. He got right in there with you, and you felt it. Were you there, Yaakov? Were you? Yeah. Were you there? Was he doing that?
I believe my ears did it.
He gave over his life story. Ron Hall. He gave over his life story, and it did something for us that nobody else could do. He got right in there with you. Imo anochi b'tzara, Chazal say. Imo anochi b'tzara. He was with us, right down in there, right there with you. I'm going through it with you. And he didn't do that on purpose. He wasn't, patronizing or anything, obviously, but it was, Chazal say that Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen because of this quality. This quality of Imo Anochi B'tzara. It's a very special quality, and it was something that I don't think he particularly relished being able to go through, his life story, but he did it for us, and to say, I'm with you, you can do it, I did it, and he did do it. It's late already, everybody spoke so beautifully, and 31 years ago? It was like 27 years ago? I played basketball with the Nativ boys in the old city, so they asked me, are you Shana Aleph or Shana Bet? I say, Shana Bet. You are Shana Chaf Gimel or something. In any event, I think I was about 27 years ago. Anyway, so everybody spoke so beautifully, so I don't want to take too much time. I'm sure it's already late, and some of the boys don't have the longest attention span. But I'll say something very quick. Chazal say, everybody knows the famous Chazal, "B'makom shebalei tshuva omdim, ein tzadikim gemurim." It's more Yuma. I think Yuma. It's a famous Chazal. Huh? It's "B'makom shebalei tshuva omdim, ein tzadikim gemurim." So l'chora, you have to understand what does that mean. If a guy grew up not observant and he became observant, that's it. He's written in, he's good. So you have to know that simply what we think of as what we use commonly as the word balei tshuva is not balei tshuva, obviously. Somebody who grew up not observant is not necessarily balei tshuva. He's just uneducated. Somebody who's uneducated and doesn't know right from wrong is Anus, Shogeg, he's not a balei tshuva, maybe on some level. There's some tshuva involved, but not simply he's not a balei tshuva. He's somebody who's uneducated, and he came to the Bay and they educated him. So now he knows right from wrong. So that's not necessarily balei tshuva. If you want, you can ask for Noach Weinberg. We had a Rusa with him a bunch of years ago. So he passed away a while ago, about 7 or 8 years ago. So he, at the end of his life, I heard him lamenting. He spent his whole life trying so hard to affect, boys that were not observant, and men and women that weren't observant. And he tried so hard, and he was lamenting at Auschwitz, actually. I saw him when he went on to the camps on some trip to Poland, and he was lamenting the fact that it seems to be like a bit of a revolving door. You work so hard, you try so hard, you help, you teach boys, and you work with them, and many of them do very well. But a lot of times after a short while, it's very hard, and they go back to the way that they were living and whatever it is. So he was saying it's a bit of a revolving door. I can show you the figures of how many people I've affected in my life, but I can't show you the figures of how many people, a few years later, weren't necessarily still in the same place. So when Chazal say "B'makom shebalei tshuva omdim ein tzadikim gemurim omdim," they were talking about Rabbi Yaakov. To me, that's pashut. That's what they were talking about. They were talking about a fellow who doesn't do it halfway. who doesn't go in and say, I'll sign up, I'm ready to do this thing, I'm taking on Shabbos. I'm taking on the thing. That's a little popular expression. I'm taking on something. That wasn't, he said, I'm not taking it on. You took it on at Sinai. This was Rabbi Yaakov. You took it on at Sinai. That was it. You're doing it. You signed up, and you're already. They bring down. If you make a neder about what's it called? You make a neder about a mitzvah, right? So it's not an issue. Let's say a guy's not keeping Shabbos. He says, I make a neder. I'm going to keep Shabbos. So is that a problem? That's not a problem because you're already mushba and you're already took on the neder. You don't have to worry about it. It's fine. Take on a neder. Anything. It's a mitzvah. It's a chumrah, whatever it is. It's a mitzvah. Take it on. Don't worry. There's no problem of neder there. Take it on. It's fine. Make the neder. There's a Gemara in Sukkah. Or Cholil. It's a bit of I thought it was a problematic Gemara. The Gemara says that when at the end of time, so Hashem is going to shech the Yetzer Hara. And the tzaddikim are going to cry, and the Rishonim are going to cry. Everyone's going to cry. Why are the tzaddikim going to cry? They're going to cry. They're going to say, how could I have done it? It was such a big mountain. How could I have overcame this difficult Yetzer Hara? They're going to see this Yetzer Hara. And the Rishonim are going to cry. They're going to say, well, how come I couldn't do it? It was this little chut. Chut asar was nothing. It was just a string. I could have easily overcome it. So why are the tzaddikim crying again? Because they couldn't have. They did it. They did it. So what's the problem? Why are the tzaddikim crying? So the Maharsha says they're crying. They're crying out of simcha. Okay, maybe. It's one way to go. They're crying out simcha. It's a possibility. But there's another, the next Gemara, the very next Gemara says something very strange. You know what it says? It says that when you do not bear one time, so it's like the web of a spider. It's no problem. Right? Everybody, if you were to think back, anybody here ever tried imbibing any substances or inhaling any substances or anything of that nature, which in this yeshiva generally doesn't happen. But if it ever happened to anybody, by accident, passing by a cloud, so you know that the first time, if somebody said to you, how was that? You go, could have said no. If I said to you that first time, if I took you back, Rav Shach said, I forgive everyone on this earth except for the guy who gave me my first cigarette. That's a famous quote from Rav Shach. In B'nai Brak. He said, I forgive everyone in life except for the guy that gave me my first cigarette. If I take you back to your first cigarette, and I say to you, could you have not smoked in that cigarette? Most of us would say, yeah, it was really no big deal. In fact, I coughed for the next 3 hours. I was only 7 years old. I coughed, it was horrible. It wasn't so good. But then afterwards, Chazal say that afterwards, it's after a person's been smoking for a number of years. So Chazal say it's like a thick rope. It's like the rope of the sailors. Also, it's like the thick rope. Because even a spider web or a piece of silk is very thin. But if you weave together enough silk, it's as strong as iron. You could rip that thing with all the pressure in the world. So it seems like a stira. I don't understand. The Rishonim are crying because they see the Yetzer Hara as it was just a little string. They couldn't overcome it. The Chut Asar, I don't understand. The very next Gemara seems to say so, that Gemara. It says that the Rasha who goes over the Avera many, many times, it's as thick as a rope. So, what's the shot in that Gemara? So I think it's the very next Gemara right over this. So, okay, we can think about it. One possibility that I thought of, what is this cry? So Likim are doing, the Rishonim are doing. The day after I got married, about 20 years ago, the day after our wedding, I just started crying for about 3 days straight. My wife was wondering what the heck's going on. I don't understand. And it had nothing to do with her, honestly. Even though she's not here, it had nothing to do with her. But I just started crying for 3 days straight. What was that cry? Until today, I don't know for sure what exactly that was. But it was something like, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm here. I don't deserve this. And I don't know what's going to be. But I can't believe that I'm here. It's a third type of cry. You cry from laughter, you cry from sadness. Sometimes you cry from just sheer, you're not sure why you're there. Can't believe that it happened. Just shock, whatever it is. So it could be that's why I suggest that perhaps that's why the tzaddikim are crying. They're looking at this mountain and they're just mitragesh, we say in Hebrew. They can't believe it. This thing was huge and they did it. It's scary. It's mitragesh. It's some kind of other category of crying. I once sat with Rabbi Yaakov. For some reason, even though we're not in the building over there, I feel like I am. I don't know, it might be a ruffles on the thing or the stender here. This is the same, I think. Yeah. I feel like I am in that building. So I used to sit with Rabbi Yaakov when I first came to, I learned in Neve about 27 years ago, and then afterwards I came to teach in Neve, and I know I don't mean to shock anybody, but sometimes in Neve, first thing in the morning, everyone's in the base medrash. Most people are there.
spoken about.
They spoke about it already. Most people are there, but not everyone's there. I don't want to shock you, but sometimes it's happened before that not everyone came to Seder at 9 o'clock in the morning. So, and once 4 o'clock rolled around, I would go sometimes to wake up the boys and, give them some breakfast and whatever it was. So I would sit with Rabbi Yaakov right in the back of the shul where he always sat, and I sat right next to him, and we had conversations and various topics and talking about, and as everybody mentioned, he was an Ish Emes. One day he says to me, we really got to help somebody. I said, who do we have to help? He said, there's some lady, got married young, a young girl, she got married, and her husband is abusive. We have to go save her, go drive her somewhere. So I said, okay. So we got in the car, we went to go save some lady. I don't know how he found out about these types of things, but he was somebody who, you know what I'm talking about. So he went to go save some lady's life. She was being abused, beaten, something. And, there was, so the chesed, the emes that everyone spoke about is absolutely true. And there was also an aspect of chesed that was there that a lot of people didn't know about. And that was going on always. I hope the boys won't be too upset, but I once came to Rabbi Yaakov's and Lori's house, and all the kids were naked. I hope I'm not, the kids were running around naked. And Rabbi Yaakov had tremendous patience for these children. The boys were sometimes a little bit active, the Friedman boys. They were not, they were little boys, and they were more active than non-active. They were on the active side. And anybody who was here long enough to remember the kids when they were little, they were the twins. Yochi, there was definitely activity going on, lots of activity. I think one kid once climbed up a tree naked and fell down and broke his arm. I don't know if you remember, I think one kid broke his arm, fell off a tree. Anyway, there was a lot of activity. There was a lot going on. And Rabbi Yaakov was doing it. So, why am I mentioning this? Chazal say, "B'makom shebalei tshuva omdim, ein tzadikim gemurim." It's not simple to be called a Baal Tshuva. Obviously, Chazal are saying that you don't earn that title easy. It's not like you come to Eshet Torah, take on Shabbos, and you're a Baal Tshuva. It doesn't work that way. If you were uneducated and you educated yourself, you should go great. But you know what? What about the next day? And the day after? And the day after? And when, I wasn't going to come tonight because it was, for me, I have two weddings to go to tonight, and there was a lot going on. I didn't know that it was tonight. I thought that this was happening next Thursday for some reason. It wasn't any fault of anybody. I had, for some reason in my head, it was next Thursday. But Rabbi Feldman shared something with me that made me come tonight. I'll tell you what it was. And I mean this with the greatest respect, and I hope it will be taken that way. Rabbi Feldman shared with me that Rabbi Yaakov once told him something and confided in him. I think I can say. He said, a lot of people get geschmack out of the mitzvos. Shaking the lulav, putting on tefillin, etc. He said, for me, it's very difficult. I don't really get, I think, the same geschmack that other people get from doing the mitzvah. And that might sound strange to a lot of people, but anybody who's ever worked on themselves and overcome something very difficult. The first day, it's great, it's exciting. Second day, wonderful. The third day, not as wonderful. The fourth day, the 500th day, the 1,000th day, the 10,000th day. You're not getting, people like many of us know we're not going to be the next Rav Shach. It's not happening. We're not going to be Rav Chaim Shmulevitz. As much as we'd like to be, and as much as I know I'm going against popular culture of you can be anything you want to be, and you can, and to some extent. But we know, many of us know our own capabilities, and we know that we're not going to be lauded, we're not going to be put on a pedestal anywhere. And to go do it anyway, I think that was a certain greatness that Rabbi Feldman shared with me, that I knew, and that Rabbi Yaakov taught me, and I wanted to share with you. That ability to come to the Beis Medrash, even though you may not be, no one will ever know that you came, except for Hashem. No one's ever going to know that you came to the Beis Medrash that day, or that you gave up something hard, or you had to go somewhere and you came anyway, and it was hard and you did it. For Rabbi Yaakov, coming to the Beis Medrash every day, I promise you, was not an easy thing to do. He loved learning, but it wasn't easy. And he did it anyway. And he did it every day. And he came and he taught the boys, and which he enjoyed, and he came every single day and he learned. For me, that's a powerful message. That's nothing to play with. That's a serious guy. That's a guy who believes in God. That's called Yirat Shamayim. You come, even though you know you keep your mitzvahs, you dress properly, you do what you're supposed to do, even though you know you may never get applauded for that. And no one may ever notice that. And you do that anyway because you believe in God and God said so. That's a different type of preacher. I humbly submit to you, that's what Chazal meant when they said, if we're capable of emulating Rabbi Yaakov in that way, of being able to come to the Beis Medrash, for some of us it's easy. For some of us, there isn't that much challenge, it's fairly easy. But every one of us has a time that it isn't that easy. The Gemara says that all the different Amoraim were saying, why Tesili? I deserve schar, Magiali. I deserve schar for various activities that they did. Some of them did things that seemed somewhat trivial. One of them says, Tesili, I always davened in the same place. I think I haven't seen the Gemara in a while. Tesili because I davened in the same place. Tesili because I deserve a lot of schar because I did this, I did that. And they don't seem like very impressive things. So the Maharsha there says something fascinating. He says, you're right. He says it's not so impressive to daven in the same spot once, but twice, 3 times. If you look carefully in the Gemara, it says me'olam. Me'olam, every time. I always did this, I always did that. If you take my Rebbe once told me they had a Musar pool in their yeshiva. They had to put their shoes by the bed, line them up neatly by the bed. Every night when they went to bed. Now, for ladies, this may seem, why can't guys get this straight? Why can't they put their shoes, why can't they pick their socks up? But they had to put their shoes straight there, straight in my bed. And everybody, when they accepted this beulah on themselves, everybody said, this seems like a stupid beulah. And so everybody said, well, you know what, just try it. Try it for a week. I think by the end of the week, I don't think one guy did it. I don't think one guy was able to put his shoes straight by the bed every night. Why not? Well, one night he was too tired. One night it was, they were working on Seder. One night he was too tired. One night he was not in the mood. So everybody did it for 6 nights, but they didn't do it for 7 nights. Rabbi Yaakov did it for 7 nights. He did it. And now he wins. He won. And that was, for me, a very moving message. A lot of us, we try. But at a certain point, the pulls that we had in our past, they catch up with us. You don't run away from them. You work on them and you continually work on them. But it wasn't easy for him. That was my point. It wasn't easy, and he did it. And he won. And all I can say is, I give us all a bracha that we should be an Ilui Neshama for Yaakov. The next time that we think about doing something we're never going to get any honor for, any credit for, ever, and we do it just because Hashem said so, think about Rabbi Yaakov. Think about that. Think about him saying, other people have geschmack in the message. I don't have it. I don't have that same level. Very little level for certain mitzvahs. It's very difficult for him. And he did it anyway. And, sometimes Avram Avinu, it's so late already. I'll say one last thing. We, on Rosh Hashanah, we blow a shofar. Because Avram Avinu, he found the shofar he found the aisle right after. So I don't understand. Why don't we hold up a knife on Rosh Hashanah? Like, we should all hold up knives on Rosh Hashanah. Zecher l'Akedas Yitzchak. If you want to talk about the Akedah, why not hold up a knife? The Maral says this. Why not hold up a knife? Hold up a knife. Do something. The Akedah, the horn was because he didn't get to do what he wanted to do. That was the failure. Why hold up the horn? Why blow the horn? I think we should hold up a knife. Something. Get some ropes out there. What's that?
No, Afro shel Yitzchak.
Afro shel Yitzchak, so then let's hold up some Afar.
Yeah, no, but it's not there. It's also not there.
It's not there, so we take the failed attempt. Yeah, everybody, let's get the failed attempt, and let's do that. I don't like that. I want the knife. I want to hold up a knife. So, if I remember correctly, the Maharal says, I think Rabbi Hartman's, the Maharal says that it's, if Hashem came to us and said, Shech your son, most people wouldn't be happy so much to do that, but hard to believe if you knew it was God, you knew you weren't on some kind of substances, and God said, and you knew it was God, there was no doubt in your mind. I think most of us would do it. In the big things, sometimes it's easy to serve Hashem. In the little things, the shofar was afterward. It was his failed attempt. And yet Avram still went at it with the same gusto that he would have been shechting his son. That's a big deal. That's what we do. We blow that shofar to say we're going into life and we're doing it. We're doing it with the same gusto. The little things. We're going to Shacharis tomorrow morning. Here, what's tomorrow? Rosh Hashanah? Everyone got up early. Let me not stop. Right? Rosh Hashanah, everybody got up early. But Yom Kippur, everyone got up early. Yeah, how about tomorrow morning? Who's getting up early Friday morning to daven? And who's going to daven, like it's really, seriously, take it seriously. That was Rabbi Yaakov. And that was coming to learn every single day when it's hard and when you're not going to get a lot of accolades for it. You're not going to get, nothing big, no big party. There will be a big party in Shamayim. make no mistake. But right here, there's no big party happening, and to do that every single day, that was a lesson that Rabbi Yaakov taught us that I think we all need to take with us. I give us a bracha that we should take it with us, and it should be an Ilui Neshama for Rabbi Yaakov, tzaddik, somebody who did the right thing for real, wasn't fake, it was real, everything was real, it was about Hashem, and he didn't do it halfway. He went to Rabbi Shaikovitsky's kollel, and he did it for real, and his whole life. I saw him a week before he was walking with Lori in the Old City, a week before he passed away. Not a week before, a couple weeks, a few weeks before. He was walking in the Old City. And he was a bento. Is there any greater compliment that anybody can give to somebody who came from a very difficult background and to say he was a ben Torah? How many people like that do you know? He was a ben Torah. What a compliment. A ben Torah with his hat and his jacket. I don't care about the extra. I'm just saying he was a ben Torah in every way. Are we B'nai Torah? Can we say that we're B'nai Torah? Will they say about us after understanding that we're Ben Torah? That's what we want. And it's not easy to do, and especially not easy for somebody with a difficult background. Hashem should bless us that we should learn from that midah of Rabbi Yaakov, and we should all be matzliach to go in that way, go in the way of emes, and he should be a melit yosher for us in Shamayim, and Hashem should bless us.
What's his name? I've forgotten his name.
And here. I don't know.